Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let Me Say This podcast this evening. I'll be your host, Ben Fenderson, and we have Mr. Anthony Lights and Mr. Dre Davis. Fellas, how we doing this evening?
And y'all already know what's going on, man. It's another day. Going into that second year, let me say this, man. I can't call it. Welcome aboard, man. You know, this ain't usually your show. You know it's your show, but we ain't on that right now. But we need to hurry up and get back to that because we missing it. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's good. NBA playoffs around the way. Got some interesting things that happen over the NBA world and the WNBA world we about to speak on as well. So,
Yeah,
Speak,
same man. Ready for basketball playoffs, man, and baseball. That's pretty much it right now.
you said
okay.
baseball. Oh yeah,
Speak,
that's a
speaking of the
resident Braves hater on the show. Go ahead. Go ahead.
speaking of the WNBA, Miss Angel Wilson, historic contract. Fellas, what makes this deal historic in regards to a
So,
contract?
like I said, in 30 years of existence, the WNBA has never really turned a profit. They've always been funded by the NBA, of course. So this is very historic in a sense because they also were in a lockout trying to reach a collective bargaining agreement. They pitched the deal at the table, couldn't get the WNBA side to agree with it. With the players union, so they went back to the drawing board. They got everything figured out. So now we're about to see some increases in salaries. Aja Wilson, first WNBA player to sign a supermax. So yeah, this is very big, man, and this is gonna be and the revenue. Hopefully, the revenue is only going to increase as hopefully they can actually start turning profits. They get viewerships, like they pretty much got the same media rights deals as the NBA. They're going to be on Amazon. They're going to be on NBC and Peacock, and as well as ESPN. So hopefully we see more WNBA superstars rightfully get what they deserve, their portion of the money, not just the peanuts they've been getting the last 29 years. So like I said, they're moving into 30 years in existence, and hopefully in the next 30 years we might see a WNBA contract be in the tens of millions, 20s of millions, or something around there. But you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a slow build. It's going to be a process to it, though. You're just not going to get that overnight because even in the NBA days, like some of the legends, you know what I'm saying, like a Michael Jordan and all that, like their contracts were not that great as far as like what they were making on the court compared to like some of these guys with these endorsements. And also, yeah, that's another thing too with these just speaking in the sense of the WNBA contracts, a lot of these players are not really going to get those endorsements. Like it's probably going to be like a handful of players in the WNBA that are really marketable and that are going to get some good money outside of what they were making on the court. But this right here is going to be some good security for them. And shouts out to Aja Wilson for being the first one to pave the way. And hopefully, down the road she get back to the drawing board and get a bigger contract. So that's all I got in closing remarks on that.
Same. I mean, it's just a part of the new collective bargaining agreement that the WNBA just put into place. I mean, it's good. It's always good anytime any athlete gets paid. That's something we've been talking about for years and years. Like you said, back in the day, Michael Jordan and crew, they weren't getting paid a lot. And realistically, when you look back about 15 years ago in the NBA itself, same thing then. Like it really was only probably one guy really getting paid, and it makes it interesting now. With the new CBA with the NBA, and how they only really pay two good players on the team. But Asia Wilson, breaking barriers, breaking down walls, in the WNBA and a new market, expanding that market as well with two new teams. Something I hope continues to build that market. They usually have a really good playoffs. She is a perennial uh, MVP. She's a champion. She's arguably, in all of WNBA history to this point, she's up there as far as one of the best of all time. So it's just good to see somebody get paid their worth and their value.
Now, the lead up question, follow up question with that, right? Even though this deal is historic, do you all feel that she's underpaid or this is the right amount?
So I will. It's almost like a yes and a no for me, but yes because it's just like they've been fighting for this for so long, and no, only because like this is the first one. This is basically the prototype, the precedent for what can be set forward. So it's a yes and no for me because rightfully, like she at least deserve like in the tens of millions. You know what I'm saying? Something, But like this is pretty much the floor for what's to happen, and then like we're gonna look back maybe 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and we're gonna look back and like, hey, Angel Wilson made history, but then like you're gonna get players flooding in, Caitlin Clark when it's time for her to get paid, and Juju Watkins when she gets to the WNBA, and so it's just a step in the right direction for me. So like it's like I said, it's a yes and a no. On the no side, mainly because, on the yes side, because like Dre said, she's highly decorated, a champion, a 4-time MVP, just a perennial All Star, and like if this was an NBA comparison, man, she'd probably be one of the faces of the league, making $200 million plus. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, this is WNBA. They just reached this agreement, so it's just like it's a stepping stone in the right direction.
I still just say, as far as with their new CBA, with the WNBA's market value, with their media presence, with their jersey and ticket sales, when you really put all that together, yes, if anything, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, she almost may be overpaid, but she is the WNBA's biggest draw right now. There's still people in the WNBA that have been there for quite some time that are greats that you don't even remember are really there. Skylar Diggins is still a basketball player, an active basketball player for the WNBA. So when you put things like that into perspective and you look at how great Skylar Diggins was to us at some point in time, and the fact that now she gets a contract somewhere and it's nowhere near the value of the highest decorated player for the WNBA as of right now, in essence, for comparison's sake, I guess you could say, because LeBron's not the highest paid. If I'm not wrong, Jokic is right now.
Uh,
Yeah,
If I'm
or it
not
might be
wrong,
it
that
might be Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, one of them two too, possibly. Yeah.
whomever it is right now in the NBA, again, as you can see from what I'm saying, they may not even be correctly paid at their value and who they are and what they draw as a member of the NBA. But that's just like you guys said, that's just how it happens sometimes. That's the way that it's supposed to happen. And right now for Asia Wilson, that's exactly how it's supposed to happen. I think it opens more doors. It kicks barriers down, like I said, for the future. Hopefully they continue to be able to market it better. They I don't think skill is really the issue. Skill has just gotten better over the years, but I hope they continue to find ways to, gravitate to the younger crowd, gravitate now more to their correct crowd and young ladies and women, and then also, find a way to continue putting the WNBA in the right spot to entertain men as well. The last couple of times that I know for a fact that I saw the WNBA on TV. Especially when it came to playoffs, like I think the series with Sabrina with Brooklyn a couple years ago,
Sabrina
the
Ionescu,
the
probably
arena
Brooklyn and Vegas. Those are usually the two teams really battling it out in the WNBA finals.
in every one of the games in that final series, the arenas were jam packed. That's exactly what you want to see, and that's why moves like the Atlanta Dream just recently made, moves like the Chicago Sky just recently made. They're such great pivotal moves because they understand what it takes to attract the right people in their crowd, and um. Whether, and one thing that I talked to a couple guys about a couple years ago that's different with basketball from any other sport realistically is the ability to attach a face with a name. And just like with NBA players, you attach faces with a name and you see their face on TV every night. It's the same thing with the WNBA. You see their faces on TV every night. You want to be able to attach, hey, the Chicago Sky is coming to Atlanta this weekend. I want to go be able to see that game because I see so many people that I recognize. Every year that I've looked and the Fever were coming to Atlanta, the Dream have had to move their game from where they play to another arena every single time that the Fever come to town. And I imagine it's probably the same with Vegas and so on and so forth. But as the market continues to build for them, it can only get better.
okay.
Ain't got no too much to say, man. But like I said, it's best of luck for them moving forward. And like I said, hopefully the next CBA, if the numbers are looking right, they can add on to that. Like I said, this is just a stepping stone in the right direction.
Okay. Speaking of stepping stones, who do you all think is next in line for a contract like Agent Wilson's in the WNBA?
We got the Paige Buckers of the world, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston. It's a lot of names out there, honestly. Um, Maybe even well, I wouldn't say Kelsey Plum. She'd probably be like that, like one of those tier 2 type of contracts, just like the next step above. The step below a super max, maybe a max deal, but like those other three names, like those are definitely some
I
individuals to look
still
out for.
I still wouldn't overlook Sabrina. Sabrina could be in line for one of those types of contracts when her time comes. So, from your Sabrina, from your Aaliyah Boston to your especially, and not to be aforementioned, your Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark will be the one that really, really breaks through and will be the one that will not be matched for quite some time. But all the other players that we named, I think they're very much so in line with contracts that should be upwards over $2 million and somewhere around the $5 million mark, such as such like Agent
Also, I'm
Wilson.
this is like a little side question. I know, Finn, you kind of carrying the show right now, but this is like, do you think the free agency period for WNBA will like be a little bit different now? Like, you think moving forward, you think we possibly have like some splash moves like Kawhi Leonard signing with the Clippers over the Lakers, or LeBron going to Miami, and then LeBron leaving Miami and coming back to Cleveland? Do you think we'll see some things like that if the money continues to be right in the future?
I can see it happening.
Most
Not
definitely.
right now, but I can eventually see it
Yeah, most
happen.
definitely. I definitely can see that being a part of the future. Now that a little more power was given to them with this most recent CBA, I see more splash moves and more changes coming in the future. And now that the dust is kind of settled on this first free agency after this CBA, it'll be interesting to see how next offseason, how that pertains to this most recent. Like I said, somebody's always got to test the water, see what can really be done. And now that that's been done, and now that they see what their ceiling and floor is, you'll see a lot of difference next year.
Okay. Now transitioning to the NBA. NBA play-in tournament. We've had 4 games, two from the Western Conference, excuse me, two from the Eastern Conference. We'll start with the Western Conference. Clippers and the Warriors. What's you all's take on that game?
Draymond Green is a elite defender. How he plays defense on Kawhi Leonard. Steph gonna do Steph things, but shout out to Al Horford as well for hitting big shots. Even on the Clippers side, you had some guys like a Darius Garland pitching in, dropping 21 points. Ben Mathurin, 5 for 6 from three with 23 points. So it was just a lot of things going on. It's just one of those games that was just back and forth all the way throughout. I know early in the game, the Clippers actually jumped out to a 12-2 lead. The Warriors, usually do what you do. You call a timeout to kind of stop some of the bleeding. Then the Warriors came back and they went on a run and brought it back with them too. So yeah, it's just one of those games. This is, you love the play-in tournament, man, because it just brings out a good energy as far as the NBA goes. Because now, like, we know the season is dwindling down. There's only so many games we're gonna have left, and then like these teams are fighting for a spot in playoff positioning. Granted, they might run against a juggernaut like the winner of that game, will go on and face somebody for an 8 seed, so they're going to be playing. Winner gets, hey, your prize is the Oklahoma City Thunder, but like I said, you just never know what can happen in any moment, especially in a 7 game series. It's not like you just never know what can happen. But this game in particular, man, this is what the NBA needs, especially like when you got guys like a Kawhi Leonard or Draymond Green, Steph Curry out there, guys, championship players performing out there on a big stage like that. So yeah, but I think the Clippers, as far as like my outlook for the season, they don't have a draft pick. Now their draft pick is a lottery draft pick, so OKC just out here just winning, even though they not even the team that's playing. So they get a lottery pick off of that. I think with the Warriors, in the essence, their season's not over yet, to be determined, but the Warriors just need to get healthy. They got the guys, and hopefully, a guy that was with them for a while winning some of those championships. Now the Dallas Mavericks probably end up coming back on a vet minimum deal, but we'll see how that goes as when we get to the offseason portion of the NBA. But yeah, but this is just a spectacular basketball all throughout. The Warriors had a big they do what they always do. They have a big third quarter scoring 43 points. So, back in their prime Warrior days, they would just run teams off the floor in the third quarter. It's a little different now, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, like I said, this is what NBA needs right now. Some quality games, meaningful games, games that mean something. So you're gonna get the best out of your players.
Yeah, my same sentiments on that. 4 games, 3 out of the 4 were absolute thrillers. Unfortunately, my team, and I'm not mad about it, but they went home in an overtime game. A 1 point loss that was a thriller for a young team that hadn't made the playoffs in quite some time, in the Hornets. Anytime you see something like that, a home game, like you get your fans going, you get them to, hoping that you can make the playoffs. I know they got to go and play another game and win another game just to see if they can get in. But like I said, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see, because then you flip over that same night and you got a Trailblazers and the Suns, another two teams that have been on the fringe all year, two teams that kind of don't belong, kind of belong, that were battling for a 7-8 seed. You get a Trailblazers team that nobody's talked about all year. And now they're going up. And like you said, they're going up against a juggernaut in the
So
Spurs.
the
But
biggest news they
if they
had
get
all year is their head coach with the situation.
Yeah. And so other than that, you know what I'm saying, like, they battled through. They got an interim head coach that is a former player that's done a great job just getting his team to this point, winning the play-in game, inserting themselves into the playoffs. On the back end, like I said, unfortunately, it doesn't the Magic are who you didn't
I
think
had
they
high
were at the
hopes,
beginning of the
man. I
season,
had high hopes.
but some of their issues continue to shine through, and some of the issues that they've had all season, and some of the issues that they had the other night in the play-in game, will continue to be just that. And I think, just like you just said, with a former player from the Warriors and Klay Thompson possibly making a move back to the Warriors, the Magic, they have issues that they still got to get figured out in the meantime. They obviously need a little more veteran leadership, a little more shooting, somebody that's going to help them, help Paolo get over that hump. But more importantly and above all, Steph Curry is still exactly who we thought he was. In the last 5 or 6 games that he came back, he has done nothing but Steph stuff. I know when I was watching the game last night, he went out injured in the first quarter and went back to the locker room there for a few minutes, and it was kind of looking grim there. But to end with 30 plus points, to end with, the night kiss, there in a great situation, a 2-man game with his longtime teammate and Draymond. And then, like you said, Draymond just having that veteran defensive presence and being an absolute monster there in the fourth quarter. I cannot tell you how many times I heard Kevin Harlan say that Kawhi Leonard had not scored in the fourth quarter until about 40 seconds or so in the game. But nonetheless, this upcoming Friday, you got a really good game between two young teams in the Hornets and the Magic. I think that'll be a really good East Coast game, especially, again, like I said, two young teams just fighting to get in the playoffs. Two teams that we haven't seen in the playoffs in quite some time. I'm excited about either which way that goes. And then on the flip side, in the West Coast, you got two veteran-heavy teams that are fighting to get into the playoffs and fighting to either continue to push their Hall of Fame resumes and continue to see if they can make a push at it when everybody's written them off. Oh yeah, and then you got another team that's just fighting to be relevant after a couple years ago, seeing them, in the NBA Finals, and ever since then they've been trying to find that magic, that sweet recipe again. Tomorrow will be another really good slate of games, and then there shortly after we'll get into round one.
I know with the like I said, I had high hopes for Orlando because I thought the East was gonna be a little down year for some teams like the Celtics, man. Like I said, Joe Mazzulla might have just got coach of the year job, regardless of what team has the best record. Like, to do that, missing one of your guys, one of your key guys with a torn Achilles for a majority of the season, and him to come back and produce what he did, that's incredible in itself. So, but like I said, I had high hopes for the Orlando Magic, but I think the problem with the Orlando Magic, I don't think they really have a number one guy that just go get a bucket. I think they got a bunch of complementary guys all out there that are not really just main guys. Like, I think Paolo Banchero will be best suited as a number two. Now that we seeing, like, he's been in the league 4 years, now we kind of seeing Franz Wagner, kind of the same situation. The Desmond Bain trade, is kind of laughed at because you give up four draft picks for Desmond Bain. And on the flip side, we talk about the Hornets, like you said, man. This is one of them teams, like, if they, they going to get the AC, they'll play the Pistons, man. They can scare the Pistons because the Pistons, they are still young and they're right. They made the playoffs last year. They got knocked out in 6 by the Knicks, but like that's still a team that still kind of like lacks some playoff experience in themselves. But I think the Hornets just got to find a way to like get out of their own way sometimes. I know LaMelo Ball just plays streaky. It's streaky at moments, but like when the team needed him, he made the plays. But the Hornets can scare Detroit if they go on and advance out of the game on Friday night. So I think the Hornets have a chance to scare Detroit. And then on the flip side, with the Warriors and the Suns, it's almost like you holding up a mirror at each other. Okay, you got the primary guy in Devin Booker. They got the primary guy in Steph. You got your defensive guy in Dylan Brooks. You got your defensive guy in Draymond Green. You got Jalen Green on for the Suns, and you got Pozinski for the Warriors. So it's almost just like, and Jalen Green had a big night as well versus the Blazers. But it's almost like you saying it's just a mirror reflection of each other with just like with a lot of those pieces that they got, and so that also makes for great basketball. Like this is like I said, this is like the play-in tournament was a great thing, a great addition. Obviously, it was initially started to combat, teams from just kind of like toning it down towards the end of the season. So it's just like it didn't give other teams that are not amongst the top 8 or amongst the top 8, the 9 and 10 spots, to give those guys a chance to fight for a playoff position. So man, you can't go wrong with the play-in basketball. But these 4 games, like great games, like the only reason like the Sixers and Magic, Sixers just pulled away late, man. But it was a good fight up until at least about a good 2-3 minutes left in the game. It's just they pulled away. When we got Andre Drummond out here knocking down threes, man. That's when like, yeah, man, it's just their night. Like, what can you do? What can you really do with that? So man, but yeah, man, this makes for great basketball all around. So, and this is a nice way to set the tone as we transition to the full blown playoffs with a lot of these matchups that's obviously just been set for about a week now. But that's pretty much all I got as far as the play-in goes.
Okay. Lastly, for the play-in, I pretty much got you all the answer. That is exciting for the league, and it's a good way for teams to state their case of why they should be in the playoff. So my follow-up question to that is, even though it's exciting, do you all think the format should change or it should stay the same?
Nah, it hasn't been proven. It hasn't been proven to be broken. So yeah, the only way I can see, but I don't think they'll do it. But the only way I see, if they just we go from adding 2 more teams in there, like the 11 and 12 seed. But I don't
Even
really
do
think. But
that,
yeah,
because
yeah, it's really no problem.
then you really talking about teams that really don't deserve to be there at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
for 6 years, we've had the most beautiful added formula that I think we've seen that you could possibly do. And this is a 6-year campaign. As fans of any sport, we would complain very quickly after um after a change was made if needed. And when you go back and you look at different sports, we complain, well, not we, because we are Alabama
the
fans, but
masses, the masses.
they complained for years about the BCS because it's the same thing. It's a computer system. We need a playoff, and we need this, and we need that. And because of that, at the time, as far as the playoff was concerned, we got the playoff. And then because of the repetitiveness of that, they complained again about, oh, well, now we need to make changes to the playoffs. The NFL playoffs have not changed for years because there's no complaints about how that format is done.
Well, technically, yeah, they added that 7th team in 2020, so that's the most
Yeah,
recent change.
that's what
And
I'm
then
saying.
of
Like,
course, yeah, that's about it. But
yeah, other than that, I mean, the only other real change to any other sport that we didn't complain about and we didn't ask for was additions to the March Madness tournament, but we didn't ask for that either. That was just something they wanted to throw in to continue to generate revenue. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with the plan. I don't see that adding more bottom tier teams it's still going to run into the same juggernaut, regardless of who comes out of it. And that's not a series that in a that's what basically is going to be a 4-game series. Nobody's going to want to see Zion Williamson and the Pelicans go take on the Thunder. Nobody. So that's just the theory that I'm putting out there.
We've
That if
already
they
seen
would,
that. We seen how that happened. I don't think Zion was out there, but
it would be the same with or without them. Is basically what
yeah.
I'm saying. We want to see the best 10 teams compete. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. But anything past that is just basically giving somebody a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Okay. Transitioning from the play-in to the playoff bracket. Um, who do you all would think will be the 8 seeds for the East and Western Conference going into
I'll
the
go
bracket?
Charlotte and Golden State. And it is interesting. The hottest, let me say this moment right now in the postseason, I think both teams can present problems for each of those teams, honestly. It's just the Warriors with championship DNA going against the defending champs. And if the Warriors is, found a reason to catch fire going against SGA coming off a championship season and winning and about to win another MVP, they possibly can turn the clock back and turn this into turn this into a situation of where the We Believe Warriors way back in 2007 when they upset the Mavs in the first round. Now, not saying they can do that, not saying that it'll happen, but it's a possibility with like Steph and Draymond. But I know the Thunder just got too many pieces defensively, and as far as I don't think the Warriors like defense is just not gonna be able to keep up with the Thunder offense. So, but it's a possibility. But then on the Eastern Conference side, the Hornets and the Pistons, these are two young teams. Now I know I said I had the Magic being amongst one of the top 4 teams in the East. I also had the Pistons when we had the back in the last offseason. So I also had the Pistons being one of the teams to make some noise. I didn't think they would be first in the Eastern Conference with the best record, but I knew they would have a bounce back season per se and kind of build off that first round exit that they had last season against the Knicks. But yeah, my answers are the Warriors and the Hornets. So
Yeah, I would agree if I had to pick two. I mean, the Suns, the Magic. Like I said, I think they still got some more things to be figured out. I think in any scenario that I could possibly see with both of them come in as the 8 seeds, I just don't think there would be very, very promising series to look at. I want to see both of the 1 seeds on both sides be challenged in the first round, just as I do with any other series, in this first round. But I think that the Hornets present a challenge to the Pistons in a very good way, and I think they just had some conflict not too long ago, so that would definitely make that series a little more interesting. The Warriors and their veteran presence, like going against the Thunder, like you said. I mean, I know what they got over there, but it wouldn't make it any different to me to see a great team go against some great veterans, and to see honestly how the Thunder would respond to having to guard Steph. Just as much as, the Warriors would have to guard their entire team or be great defensively and offensively the entire series and, play the defending champions. But I think it would be really interesting to see how a team would guard arguably the best shooter in NBA history for multiple games and try to see if they can stop him. That's what I got.
Okay. Moving along, um, we'll start with the Western Conference. What is the matchup that will be the most interesting, and which matchup do you all think there will be a sweep on the Western Conference?
the most likely sweep, honestly, if anything, because of what just happened with the Lakers with losing Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, I think the Rockets, if they don't sweep the Lakers, I think it could be a gentleman's sweep. But I still don't see like nothing happen. I don't know. We might get a vintage LeBron moment from 2007, 2018. Uh, on the Eastern Conference, the matchup that am most intrigued to see is I want to say it's Atlanta versus Cleveland. Is that the 4-5 matchup in the East?
It is. No, no,
Yeah,
no. It's not. It's not. No, no, no.
Raptors,
The
Raptors and
Hawks play
Cavaliers.
the
Raptors
oh
and
the Hawks
Cavaliers.
and the Knicks play. Yeah.
Knicks and
Knicks are
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Knicks and the Hawks is one of the series because we already seen um, when the Knicks first made the playoffs in years, Trae Young went out. Trae Young's no longer on the Hawks, but Trae Young went out there and he took the Knicks down by himself. Now this team is a well-oiled machine, and when Trae Young was out, they were winning a lot of games without Trae Young. You got Jalen Johnson, you got Jonathan Kuminga, you got what's my guy Dyson Daniels on playing solid defense, making shots. So that is one of the series I am most anxious to see on the Eastern side, and then on the Western Conference side, it's always fun when the Nuggets and the Timberwolves play. It's always fun to watch them, whether it's a regular season game, especially the game that they had when Ant had about 43, 44, 45 points, and Jokic had 56, 16, and 15. So and the Nuggets end up pulling away in overtime. So those are the two, man. I think that's a 3-6 matchup as well. So the 3-6 matchups and the 4-5 matchups always seem to be pretty fun. But those are the two matchups that I really want to see, especially with the Knicks having the offense that they got and the Hawks and how good they'll match up with the Knicks defensively. But and it's all going to come down to not a Jalen Brunson, but what version of Cat is going to show up in a series, because Jalen Brunson is going to be Jalen Brunson, but as far as the Knicks, they'll go as far as how it also determines the play of Cat. Also, is a varying factor how far the Knicks can go. So those are the two matchups I'm anxious to see.
I got the Trailblazers getting swept, for sure. I know they got in, but they still taking on the Spurs. Not just that, there's no answer out there for Wemby, and there's really no answer for the rest of the team either. But I definitely got the Spurs going for a sweep. The most interesting series on the West Coast right now, without the 8 seed is being set, is the Nuggets and Timberwolves. Nostalgia has the Rockets Lakers series all tied up, so I'm good with that. The East Coast as a whole, I don't have a single series over there that I could care a blink about. It's really just gonna come down to whoever comes out of that. And I still, like I said a couple episodes ago, I still think the winner's gonna come out of the West Coast. But there's not a series on the East Coast that I just really care about right now.
I mean, want to say Charlotte versus Detroit, but they got to handle their business.
They gotta do
honestly.
what they need to do first.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not really guaranteed what's supposed to happen after that. So
Yeah.
All right, as far as for me, the sweep on the Western Conference will be, in my opinion, Oklahoma versus whoever they play. That's the 8th seed. Yeah, the Warriors. I expect the Warriors to be the 8th seed, but I think OKC just has too much for them on both sides of the court. As far as the most interesting matchup on the Western Conference is the Lakers and the Rockets. And the reason why, even though Reeves and Luka is out, like you said, and do we get a vintage LeBron? Has LeBron been saving himself for this playoff run? Luka has pretty much led them all season, but now that Luka's out, do we get that Miami Heat Bron or the Cleveland Cavaliers Bron where he takes over? Do we? It's a possibility, but it'll be very interesting to see. As far as the Eastern Conference, the sweep that I see on the Eastern Conference, again, the 1 seed, the Pistons versus whoever they play. And my most interesting matchup on the Eastern Conference Finals will be the Knicks and the Hawks, like you all said. Which version of Cat is going to show up for this playoff run? Me personally, I think that he'll show up, and I think that the Knicks will go ahead and advance. To close out, pretty much, I'm not even going to ask the MVP question. But outside of the young man from the Thunder, is there anybody else that's in contention for MVP?
I mean, if it ain't SGA, it will always be Jokic. But Jokic got what 3 MVPs now, so it's just the voter fatigue with Jokic, man. So and that's very
I wouldn't
unfortunate.
count out Wemby. as still
Yeah,
a potential winner. I
yeah.
really don't think that this race is really clear cut, to be honest, just because Luka and K became eligible. Wemby had a good stretch. I know he sat out a couple games there at the end. I don't feel like he's just all the way out of this race. I think it's just like you said, partially voter fatigue, but there's still going to be an argument there for SGA and Jokic alike, but I just don't. I personally don't think that it's just written in stone that either of them are just destined to win. To
Yeah,
be
and then
honest,
Wemby's biggest case is just like, because it's just like when it comes to the Heisman or even the NFL MVP, we got NFL MVP. It's mainly a quarterback award. The Heisman Trophy winner. If we go down in the history book and look at a majority of the Heisman Trophy winners, quarterback, 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 quarterback. We didn't have a Charles Woodson, a defensive back. We just had Travis Hunter, a two-way player. Charles Woodson back in '97, a defensive back. We hardly get, we had Devontae Smith, Tim Brown. We'd have Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry as far as running backs. Archie Griffin, the only Heisman Trophy winner, if I'm not mistaken, to go back to back with the Heisman's. But it just seems to me like a lot of these trophies, when the most outstanding players, mainly offensive tied awards. I mean, I know the defense. I mean, yeah, the NFL and NBA, they got defensive player of the year trophies. Now, I do think Wemby is primed to win that defensive player of the year. But I just think when it comes to the MVPs in all the leagues, it's just more catered towards offense, putting up the numbers. I know Wemby ain't out here scoring 30 a game, but you look at his stats, man, about 25 a game, averaging about 3 blocks a game. So he's impacting the game on both sides of the court. You know what I'm saying? Not just one side. And then we get Jokic, just a triple double machine. And then you just get SGA with where he can go out here and get 30 a night, still get like 6.5 an assist, get average like 2 steals, 1.5 or 2 steals. So but yeah. Then like when it comes to the voter standpoint, one year it's the best player on the best team with the best record. One year it's about the numbers. Westbrook 2017. In another year, it's just like who has the best narrative. Even Westbrook also ties it. Westbrook's MVP also kind of ties into the narrative. Kevin Durant leaves you, you're out here by yourself, and you average a triple double season, something that hadn't happened in the league in over like 50 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, but it's just like the MVP voters. It just seems that the goalpost moves on a year-to-year basis because we've had guys that maybe should have more MVPs than what they should have, and I know one in particular, and the GOAT Kobe Bryant. He should have at least two other MVPs under his belt, but it's just like we get the voters, man. They kind of get we don't know what their criteria is. So that's my biggest gripe, really, with the NBA MVP.
but I say all that to say that I still think Jokic is about to walk away with another MVP.
You think
So
Jokic?
I still think
Yeah,
Jokic.
I'm just because I'm tired of them just doing my boy bad. So it's just like I'm just SGA, man. And it seems like SGA is pretty much the safer option. As much as I want Jokic to win, because I wanted Jokic to win last year. And you remember we had the topic last year, like could we see something that has never been done in the NBA with you got a co MVP, and the last co MVP award we had in any sports league was Peyton Manning and Steve McNair back in 2003. So it's just like, so, but. And I don't think, and if it didn't happen last season, I don't think we're ever going to get another co MVP in any league. So yeah, I'm gonna just go with SGA. And they said we lost Finn, but he's back. But that's all I got.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and close out the show?
Nah, man, just like, share, subscribe, leave comments. Here for you. Thank y'all all for tuning in, but I'm gonna let you do your job, Mr. Host.
You can go ahead and close it out.
Man, it's your show, man. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this concludes. Let me say this: NBA play-in and NBA playoff edition. I am Mr. Finn Fenderson. Have Trey Davis and Ant Lights signing out. And last but not least, Free Pooh Sharks.
Hey, man. Hey, strike this from the tape, man. We ain't even finna get it. Hey, I fully support snitching. Since we going off the rails, I fully support snitching. call the police, call the cops. You know what I'm saying?
I do
Especially
not
when it's
condone in
just
violence, but I
call
believe
the
it's
police.
self-defense.
Call
Pay
the
that
police,
man.
man. Call the police. That's all I'm gonna say. I would say free a certain country, but I ain't trying to have black trucks outside my house. So,
What
but thank
Rihanna
y'all
said
for
in the
tuning in.
song?